Hunter Biden did not do business in Ukraine. He did business with Russia. Hi, I'm Joe Lindsley. I'm an American talking to you from Lviv. And this is pretty astounding. I think when you hear it, you'll realize, oh shit, we've missed the truth.
Joe. Little fucking Joe Lindsley.
I've been in Ukraine every single day since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion, and I'll stay until victory. And malu po malu, as Ukrainians say, little by little, piece by piece, I'm trying to work to correct a lot of the falsehoods about Ukraine. Some of this is malicious, and some of it is just the nature of our media, which is not careful and imprecise. And whether you're on the left or the right, in terms I don't really like, but whether you're in the left or the right, both of those sides have the wrong information about Hunter Biden, and whether it's, often I'll read stories in the BBC or the AP saying that Hunter Biden had business dealings in Ukraine, and then I hear the Republicans, those Republicans who do not like the Bidens, accusing Hunter of having dealings here in Ukraine, and that's why Joe Biden is allegedly supporting Ukraine. This is false. This is absolute falsehood. It's probably, in some ways, probably the biggest lie, because so many people base their arguments about Ukraine based on this point. In the winter of 2013 to 2014, the Ukrainian people took to the streets demanding their liberty. It wasn't their first revolution, but it was their most successful. And they stood and they lived in those streets in the main square of Kyiv and cities throughout Ukraine until the pro-Putin regime fled to Russia. And the people were free. They'd reclaimed their country, and a country that had been oppressed by Moscow back to the times of the Tsars, through the times of the Soviets, and up until the times of Vladimir Putin. And the pro-Putin regime of Viktor Yanukovych fled to Russia. Within that regime was a guy named Zlochevsky. He was CEO of a firm called Burisma, and he was also energy minister and minister of other departments in the government of Viktor Yanukovych, Putin's puppet, who was controlling Ukraine until the completion of the Revolution of Dignity. And so Yanukovych, Zlochevsky, they all fled Kyiv. They went to Russia. And Burisma, its greatest energy assets are in the Crimean Peninsula. And for several weeks, from February 24th, 2014, until sometime in March, Burisma was disconnected from its assets in the Crimean Peninsula, because that was under the control now of the free Ukrainian people. But Burisma didn't have to worry very much, because within a few weeks, Putin swept in to take the Crimean Peninsula. And there's a few key things to note there. One, the Russians had a naval base in Crimea, much like the British kept a naval base in Ireland even after Ireland got its independence. Ukraine had agreed in the 1990s to let the Russians keep a base there, very naively. And so it was very easy for the Russians to take over Crimea. Secondly, and we just found out recently, the day that Putin took Crimea from Ukraine in mid-March 2014, Hunter Biden and his business partner Devon Archer were in Moscow meeting with Burisma. So, very important, not in Ukraine, in Moscow, meeting with Burisma. The very same day that Burisma was reunited with its energy assets, its gas fields in the Crimean Peninsula. Meanwhile, in Washington, during all this time, during the spring of 2014, the Obama administration, like much of the world, did nothing to stop Russia, even though, per the terms of the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, United States in particular was obliged to help protect Ukraine in return for Ukraine giving up its nuclear weapons. But Moscow took Crimea Peninsula, they sent forces to invade Donbass, and the West did nothing. I think if we look a little bit closer, we can see we at least need to ask questions about this, but at a very basic level, we cannot ever again for 1 second say that Hunter Biden made money in Ukraine. He did not. He made money from a company that was based in Moscow, that had assets in Crimea, that benefited from Putin taking Crimea. The whole entire time that Burisma was paying Hunter Biden, its CEO was kicked out of Ukraine. That's a fact.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що він сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні,
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
на чиїй ти стороні.